Holy crap, that's a long intro.
Hey, it wasn't me.
Well, I think it was. Hey, you are now listening, as I'm way too loud, you are now listening to PrepperCon Radio, a, as usual, special Wednesday presentation about all things preparedness. And your hosts, Scott and Shane, the prepared guy. How you doing, buddy?
Morning. Good. I've been here for a little while. It's always fun to sit down with Paul, even though I don't necessarily have much to say or have opportunity to talk because of all the wonderful callers and everything. So, it's good stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, man, that music, it's still going. What the crap?
Don't ask me. Ask Kristen. She's the one.
You're both fired. If I had that authority, I still wouldn't fire you.
You have the controls. You do what
I've got the controls. Hopefully I can get this tuned in right. We're going to just drop the beats here for a little while. We're talking, normally this is Protection Week. We wanted to push that out. We've got a special guest coming next week, if all the stars align. And we're going to talk about, for those of you who love your AR, but think it's a little heavy, he's got a sub 4 pound AR that he built.
Crazy.
And he's got a sub 5 pound one that he built for just a few, I think it was like $1,300. But the sub 4 pound one was like
$2,600 or
$2,700.
Yeah.
But it's pretty awesome. It is.
And if you're an AR aficionado, we'll talk a little bit more about how to build your own AR and on a budget, and I mean, there's so many things you can do, and that's what's so awesome about the AR-15 platform is it is so customizable, do whatever you want. And with me, I've come up with my own little guide on to AR-15s and how I'd like them built. And of course, there's the sub 4 pound where you got to go everything's super lightweight and minimalistic and everything, and then you see the pictures online where they've got every single attachment you could possibly add onto your AR-15.
They're the 20-pound plus
exactly. So it's a wide range of what you can do with the AR-15 platform, which is just, I would say it's my favorite.
So the two, I guess, long rifle, the two guns that are most popular amongst preppers, actually the three. One is a shotgun.
Yep.
Great for home defense. Number two, the AR. Mm-hmm. That platform is so versatile. I mean, there's AR-15s, AR-10s, AR-8s. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just all over the place. And then the AK-47.
Yeah, I'm going to AK is great. I would throw in the 22, the 1022.
1022, very popular, but AK is very popular as well for the simplicity of its breakdown and rebuild. You can teach somebody to break down because you don't need any tools.
And the reliability.
The reliability is high. And so a lot of the preppers that I communicate with are like, first and foremost, it's the shotgun. Second, it's the AR.
AK.
And then third, they come up and they're like, oh yeah, my AK,
and
blah, blah, blah.
It seems like most people, they're either for the AK or they're for the AR. Mm-hmm. It's one or the other. And we all have our reasons why. And I personally prefer the AR platform. But the 30 caliber 7.62 by 39 is a fantastic round. I have to say that. And you can build one in an AR platform.
Well, there you go. So, while we've digressed long enough on this topic, we're going to switch gears now. We want to talk shelters.
Yeah, I guess we're going to revisit what we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Utah Safe Haven.
Yeah, I want to point out Utah Safe Haven is actually one of our sponsors. These guys are awesome. If you're looking for land, whether you're wanting to bug out or whether you just want some fun recreation land, for me that's what it first starts out as. Get your recreation land, somewhere to go camp, to go have fun, have family gatherings. They've got land starting at $20,000. And they finance it, so you don't have to worry about it. Go to UtahSafehaven.com. UtahSafehaven.com. They're going to be at PrepperCon as well. They've got 4 booths right up front. So when you walk in, you'll get to meet these guys. But check them out now. Get in before everybody starts grabbing what they do have, because their inventory will go low after PrepperCon.
And the commercial that you hear repeated here on this station with Scott talking about the zombies taking your phone and eating your brain, that's Scott, just to let you know.
And the other one is Shane. So let's just move right along. So bugging out or bugging in, oftentimes shelter is a situational problem. Say there's an earthquake and your house just happens to be one of the ones that's collapses. Is it safe to stay there? What is your alternative? Do you have another plan to give your family shelter? So for those of you listening, we want to hear you chime in as well. For the next 15 minutes, we want to keep it pretty open to you guys. Then we're going to have a special guest come on for the next segment.
Cool.
But what is your plan when you lose your shelter? When you lose your home, what is your plan for where are you going to stay? What are you going to do? Shane, what's your plan?
Well, I think obviously the first aspect is like you said, you have to have. If you don't have a large enough lot in the subdivision that you live in now, to either put up a tent or whatever your provision might be, you need to have that other location where you can go to, whether it's a bug out piece of property out in eastern Utah, or whether it's a family located 100 miles away, or what are outside the danger zone. That's obviously your first priority. Second, and I think most simply, is a tent. It is very temporary. It can be very inexpensive. If you have a large family, you can get a large tent at Walmart. That'll work. After you have a small family, it's obviously much easier to accommodate in a tent.
Well, here's my challenge with tents. First and
Lots of
foremost,
tents.
they don't have insulation. So if it's a winter situation, what are you going to do with
Yep.
your tent?
Yeah, and they make 4-season tents, but there's still no insulation. It just means a heavier duty fabric that can handle the weight of the snow and so forth.
Okay.
But yes, that is a problem.
So how do you keep your family warm in that situation, Shane?
Well, it comes down to that point to sleeping bags and having the right clothing. Like Fortress, you hear that commercial being played on the station quite a bit. Also going to be at PrepperCon.
Yep.
That's a fantastic option for staying warm in any extreme weather environment. So clothing and gear at that point,
Absolutely.
if you have a tent.
We just purchased those military sleeping bags. So there's
Okay.
a bivy bag, and then there's 2 bags inside of it. that you
Is their
layer.
sleep system?
It's a sleep system, yeah.
Right.
And it's awesome because we can go sub 50 degrees. I think they're good up to negative 70. And I'm like, holy crap, I hope I never have to use it in that
That's kinda
situation.
cool.
But we were playing around with them the other night, and I got in, well, it wasn't the other night, it was like 2 months ago when we first got them. I got in and I zipped all 3 up on me, and I'm like, oh, this is really hot.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is during any kind of weather, that'll work. You just rearrange your system.
Exactly, and that's why a sleep system is so I guess so handy from the summer, where you could sleep in 60 degrees, where all you need is a light blanket or something very thin, to where you're in the negatives below zero, where you could use that negative 70. Well, you'd probably still sweat in there anyway. But I did just get a text. Bug out to the church. Bug out to your local church, right? if it's still standing. In an
Absolutely.
earthquake.
They're one of the most stable buildings, and it's schools and churches are your emergency locations, right? Mm-hmm. That's where you want to go to check in. That's where if the Red Cross or if FEMA ever make it out to the area, that's where they're going to be having everybody check in and make sure you're okay. What I love is for those of you who are LDS, you'll probably hear about this, but there's block coordinators.
Yep.
In a lot of these wards, they have block coordinators. I met ours just the other day. He knocked on the door. He's like, "Hey, I want to introduce myself. I'm your block coordinator." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm LDS, and so I'm like, I'm new to this block coordinator thing because when I lived out of the state, nobody ever talked about it. I live in Bountiful now. The block coordinator knocks on the door. He's like, "Hey, so if something happens, I'm going to come check on you, or if you can come check on me first. Whoever can check on who first, that's great because I've got all these families I've got to see." He's got 5 families in his group. And it's just it's neat because now it's like, okay, here's a need, fill a need. If something happens, let's go make sure everyone's taken care of. And that's what I love about prepping is it starts with family but ends in community.
Yeah, Orem City did a practice a few months ago out in our neck of the woods, and it was really cool to see how everything came together. And of course, it was just obviously a mock practice, but to find out the weak links in the system and where we can improve. So it was very cool.
Was that through CERT?
Yes, it was
Awesome.
CERT.
Yeah, get involved. CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team. So get involved if you can. They've got training classes that get you ready. But they also talk about sheltering, what kinds of systems to use. Oftentimes, what we think might happen, we're always thinking about the extremes. But the reality is your home is going to be most likely your safe place to stay unless there's structural damage to that home. If the power's out, if utilities are out, it's the middle of the winter, one of the things you can do to make sure your family's warmer is bring them all into one room. And even better, set up a tent in that room. And get everybody sleeping in that or hanging out in that, because that's going to hold in your heat a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's a technique we use when caving in cold, wet, deep caves, is to set up a tent inside the cave to conserve your heat. Absolutely.
So let's keep talking shelters.
Yeah.
Say you're in a car accident, a long, windy road, maybe just out in the woods. Car accident, you're looking around, you really don't have anything. Your car's no longer viable to stay in overnight. What can you do for shelter?
My quick short response is a tarp. I always keep a tarp of some kind in my vehicle, so that if I'm not able to use the vehicle as shelter, I can use that to at least wrap myself in it, wrap my family in it, put a cover over our heads, whether it be in extreme heat, the sun, to keep us in the shade, or keep the rain off us and
Absolutely.
keep yourself dry.
Always keep fire starting kit and a tarp in your car. Always, always, always. Additionally, always keep water supply in your car and a water filter. If you've got those things and you've got a tin or a metal, a steel bowl or cup or even a small pot, and you can put it all in the pot, that's even better, because now if you're stuck out there, you've got something you can cook in, you can boil your water if you need to. You've got something to do to keep your family safe. Shelter is going to be one of your most important things, and it's one of your most forgotten when it comes to an emergency. Emergency rule of 3. First rule, you can survive 3 minutes approximately without air. Second rule, you can survive up to 3 hours without shelter, and that's in extreme conditions or inclement weather. More people die from hypothermia because they got hot and sweated and then it got cold real fast. Or they stepped through in a creek and forgot how cold it was and wet, and that got to them. Or they fall in the water. Or it's snowing and raining, they don't have shelter.
At least you get a jacket
killer.
or something.
Yeah, have a great jacket. Have ponchos in your car. Carry those things with you so that you don't have to worry about it when the situation comes up. And then practice.
And the thing is, with a car, you've got your trunk, you've got the back of your SUV, whatever it is. There's really no excuse for you not to always have at least minimal items with you. Even a tent. There's no excuse not to just throw a small tent in the back of your vehicle with all your other fire starters and
you can throw stuff under the seats. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it. Just get it done.
Excuse.
Get it done, ladies and gentlemen. The thing about shelter is oftentimes it's forgotten how easy it is. You can put up a tarp in 5 minutes. You want to look at which way the air is coming. Make sure that you've got that break so that the cold air is not on you. You also want to look at the steepness or the pitch of the ground that you're on. Make sure it's as flat as possible. And stay high enough so that if there is a flash flood or some other water issue during the night, that you're out of it. You're out of the way.
Don't want to shelter in a creek or a low spot or something like that.
Absolutely. And then if you have weird winds, you can also, if it's just a tarp, you can also just take some branches, get some smaller branches out of the bottom of a tree. Pine trees work great for this, and build a wall on the side of your tarp, your lean-to that you've just built. There's a lot of different options you can do to get your family taken care of and make sure you're safe in these situations.
Another really popular option that people love to camp. And my question is, do most people that have an RV, a trailer, a camping trailer of some kind, do they consider that their bug out shelter?
A lot of people do, actually. I've talked to, my wife and I, we bought a trailer because my wife wanted it for our bug out situation. I didn't really like the idea, but I'm like, okay, let's try this. We tried it, and we learned really quickly that's not what we want. Okay. We want to be a little more agile. You can go more places without ours, it was huge. We could have gone more places without it than with it. And so, at the end of the day, you've got to find out what works for your family. Test things out. Some people love the RV, but then they have a backup system in the RV. They've got tents. They've got other options.
Right. And I think the reason I do like a trailer of some kind, an enclosed trailer or an RV, is because, yes, you can keep your supplies in there, and we are coming to commercial break, but you can keep your supplies in there, and they're more resilient to an earthquake because they're on wheels, they're on suspension, so they're more likely to survive an earthquake than your home that's fixed to its foundation.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after a short break and message from our sponsors. You're listening to K-Talk Radio. This is the PrepperCon Radio Hour, and we'll be right back. Man, our music is just out of control.
Love it.
You're listening to K-Talk Radio. Shane and Scott, PrepperCon Radio Hour. We're talking shelters. This music cracks me up. We're talking shelters. We actually got a special guest we're about to bring on. Alma, are you there? Can you hear us okay?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our good friend Alma Tuck with Vital Domes. Vital Domes actually gave away one of their shelters last year at PrepperCon. They're coming back this year. We're giving another one away. And they've improved probably, about 100%. Like these, I just went and saw one this weekend with him. He was showing them off to me. It was amazing. So when I talk about these, I want to preface it with this idea. We think about Nepal. Think about the earthquakes that just happened. Most of the people are still living in tents, right? Structures are just destroyed. What is your option at that point? And that's what I want you to think about as we talk to Alma right here. Vital domes, I won't ruin it by giving the specs on how these things are, but just as a sneak preview, on Friday night, he took me and showed me these scouts up in Idaho that were doing a winter camp. And I believe it was a 24-foot, is that right, Alma?
Yep, 24-footer.
24-foot dome. And it was probably, about 30 degrees outside? Maybe colder than that. And inside, it was a piping like 85, 90 degrees. It was toasty. They had 18 scouts in there. They had a stove in there that was running. 18 scouts, 5 leaders, and there's still room for probably 4 or 5 people to lay down. Like, they're all sprawled out on their sleeping bags. And it was amazing. Didn't take much light to light the whole thing up. The way the furnace was set up, or the stove, it was a cylinder stove. The way it's set up is it actually creates its own convection within the whole room. It's actually circulates the air for you.
It's obviously vented, but
yeah, it's amazing. It's vented, but it blew me away.
What's the height on that 24-foot diameter dome?
You're looking at 14 feet 2 inches.
Okay.
So it's got a tall vaulted ceiling. You know, most people think, hey, I got this big tall ceiling. I'm going to waste all this heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work. But the fact is, whenever you put a wood stove in, you're heating the column of air above the stove. I mean, most of the heat radiates out of the top. You will get right side radiation and rear radiation. But when you heat that column up and you're in like a wall tent, for instance, you've got 2.5, 3 feet between you and the roof of the wall tent. So that column of air heats up as you're heating up with the stove, hits that wall tent and radiates a good portion of that heat straight outside. In a dome, you've got 8 feet above it. Just this nice column of air. So you heat that column of air, it goes up, goes around the roof, cools off, descends on the other side, and then the stove draws the air back across and gets this nice convection going in that Scott was just talking about. And if you put a candle in the center of the dome when the stove's running, the candle will lean toward the heat source. And it's just remarkable how it works. That high roof and the natural curvature of the dome really enhances its heating capability.
Yeah, it was so comfortable in there. I had to take off my jacket. I was like, whoa. We were in there for like 15, 20 minutes, well, probably half hour with these kids and their leaders. And I'm like, okay, I got to get comfy because I had my coat on. I had to take a layer down so I could not sweat and overheat. But it was amazing. I was blown away. And the joints on this thing, describe how it's built, first of all, if you would, Alma.
Yeah, so we use steel rather than other types of materials. Aluminum will fatigue over time, and if you bend it too far, bend it back, it'll snap. I mean, think of your aluminum poles on tents. So we opted not to go with aluminum. Steel has a much higher yield strength. So it's roughly, on average, 3 times stronger than aluminum. Carbon fiber is just too pricey. It's just out of the range for any average mortal to be able to purchase.
Okay.
So steel. We flatten the ends with a really nice round on it, and we have a special die that flattens it such that it won't fatigue over extended periods of use or setup and takedown. All these struts, they're called struts, they bolt together, and they either come together in hubs that are designed for 6 or 5. They bolt together, become extremely strong. We can handle about 1,000 pounds per hub. I mean, you were hanging on it.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know how fat I am, I weigh almost 280 pounds. And I just hopped up and was hanging on one of those, and nothing. It didn't move anything.
Yeah.
I jumped up right next to you, too, and the two of us were hanging on it.
Yeah.
And I'm a good, 175, so between the two of us, we had some decent weight on the hub.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, Emma, what was the reason to design a dome? I know that domes are obviously inherently strong. Was that the main reason?
No, as you go through life, a lot of things kind of course correct you to get you to where you should be going. The course correction for me was actually I sprained my ankle one day. I was laying on the ground there, and we've got all our preps. We've been obedient. I don't know how else to say it. And so I was laying there, I was studying out tents, thinking, I've got this nice little nylon tent, thinking that would be enough. And as I studied it out and researched, I realized that's just not going to work. So I started looking at the Army tent and the heavier duty tent. And as I kept studying them, I came across a couple of things that were just gotcha. Just, won't handle a high wind. The materials that they use are not, I mean, they're long lasting, but really when you get into a situation like you described with Nepal, long lasting can really become long lasting. I mean, a couple of years, 2 3 years without too much effort. I mean, if we have a major catastrophe along the Wasatch Front, and you're talking hundreds of thousands of people homeless, I'm sorry, FEMA's not going to clean that up in 3 months. You're going to have a percentage of people, a large percentage, they're going to be in an extended survival situation. Extended shelter needs, or I can't even talk, have extended shelter needs. So, as I was studying this out, I started thinking, okay, well, we live in high altitude. We're going to have snowfall, so it's got to be strong. I just want to get out there and try to clean off the top of it. We had 4 kids at the time. We now have 5. So I needed to have space. I don't want cabin fever. I don't want to go nuts. I don't want a material that's going to degrade over time or is going to mildew. I don't want thread. Most people don't even think about thread when they're evaluating shelters. Mm-hmm. Your cotton thread, the most wall tents are used or built with, you're looking at it's called chain stitch. So it's just like those bags. You pull one end and the whole thing comes undone. Right. So if you nick it in the center, you have a good chance of it coming apart on you. So I wanted lock stitching on it. I mean, I kind of went overboard on this. Then I started looking at it. They use a cotton poly thread. You're looking at it after 1 year, a cotton poly thread, even with the UV inhibitor on it, you're 40% strength of the original strength. Mm-hmm. 5 years in, your thread's going to come apart. Now, there are other threads with better UV inhibitors, but they all drop to about 40% after 5 years. So your fabric might last, but your thread's going to come apart. Mm-hmm. So I started looking at the PTFE threads, and then I had this big criteria. Nothing fit, so I thought, I'm going to build my own. Next thing I knew, a couple of neighbors were like, hey, can I have one of those? And away we went.
Awesome.
That's amazing. So here's what blows me away about these. So your first time to set it up, it takes about, 4 hours, you said?
Yeah, very first time you set it up. They're a little more complex than a regular tent, so about 4 hours.
So you set it up, you get it all covered. It is, you don't feel the wind on the outside. The wind just molds right around it on the outside, just blows on by because of the shape. You told us how much snow it would. Give us the snow stats and the wind stats again.
Well, okay, so what we did, we worked with a company called Structure One out of Klamath Falls, Oregon. Good guys up there. We had this thing engineered, did the finite element analysis on it, everything else, put in the doors, all that. So we're rated for 100-mile-an-hour crosswind with 20 pounds per square foot snow load. Now, that equates to about 12,500 pounds of snow sitting on top of the structure. So roughly, 6 tons?
So I could park a couple of my trucks up there.
Yeah, we can handle, I think, 2 Ford F-250s up on top. We really can't balance them, but
that's
it's
crazy.
tough. But
So
now part of that strength, really quick, part of the strength is because it's a fitted cover.
Okay.
We're not pleating, we're not doing anything to where all you have to do is just put it on, attach it, and it's completely snug and fitted.
So the shell makes it more monolithic. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, that would be a very fair assumption. And anytime you start talking loads, if you have a frame underneath that's kind of rickety, it's not mounted solidly to the ground, you're going to decrease your ability to carry a load, either vertically or horizontally.
Right.
So we put in 45. It depends on where they start measuring when they put them in, but we do stainless steel grommets around the outside on a stake bit, and we have 44 to 45 tie downs on everything, and we send them out with 18-inch stakes.
That's awesome.
I mean, you can really anchor this thing to the ground.
So it doesn't move. You can keep it where you want it. And then take down, I actually got to help you take one down. It took us less than an hour to take the whole thing down, fold it all up. I was blown away. It's still highly portable. The whole system weighed, about 500 pounds?
Yeah, about 550.
Okay.
But it's broken down into little chunks. So you've got your different bags with poles, different bag with your stakes, and then the roof is, 3 sections?
Well, so the roof is a single section. Then you have the body section that breaks into 2. You have the main body that wraps all the way around, and then we call it a passive solar heating window or a bay window. We have a big window area there that becomes naturally opaque, or you can upgrade for the passive solar heating window, or even a like a solar, well, it's not solar,
The greenhouse window, right?
style.
Yeah, that's
We
what I
use that
love.
for
I
the
think that's so
crystal
cool.
clear days.
So you've got all these options. Walking in and out of it, like, it just blows me away. If you're listening and you've got your computer in front of you, go to their website. It's vitaldomes.com. Check out the pictures. You guys did a beautiful job laying out your website and just taking the images of these. I know you've been testing and testing and testing and testing with your tents. I shouldn't call them tents. They're domes. Dome structures. I mean, you've been out ice fishing with them. You've had so many scouts through them and just had them open to the public to test out. You know, what's the feedback that you get as far as when people are first presented with this option? Like, what are their thoughts? What are the feedback things you get?
Well, the first thing is people can't fathom just how spacious they are inside. You know, most of the people that are buying them from us and that we talk to are, it's interesting, it's either families with a lot of kids or grandparents with a lot of kids and a lot of grandkids. And, you know, what they're doing is they're thinking ahead. They're saying, okay, my son and daughter, they might not yet see what's coming, or they don't have the financial means, even if they do see it, to get into something like this. And so they're buying these to try to prep for them, you know, prep for their whole family. And they're saying, okay, this is a structure that is spacious enough. When we attach vestibules, we can put 3 vestibules that are 8 by 10. They're basically 8 by 10 standalone wall tents that mount directly to the dome. And you can pump this thing up to 695 square feet. I mean, it's you've got a New York apartment that's portable.
Yeah, with 3 bedrooms.
Bigger than a New York apartment.
Yeah.
And it costs less. I mean, you can buy it for 1 month's rent in New York.
Yeah,
That's
about
incredible.
$3,500 for a 350 square foot apartment in Manhattan.
That's exactly right. And
So-
we're running the sale this month, so we're under $3,000, so it's pretty good.
So, okay, yeah. So tell us about the sale. So anyone that's listening, you know, go to vitaldomes.com. What's the sale that you guys are doing right now?
Well, so we decided to run a 2016 sale this month. We usually sell it at $49.95, but we did a 2016 sale. So we're subtracting 2016 from the retail price. And so they're right now being offered at $2,979 for the base unit. And
What's crazy about that is it's like $100 more expensive than a 10 by 12 wall tent
yeah,
that's supposedly 4 seasons.
right.
You know, and that's before you get into adding your cylinder stoves or anything else like this. That's crazy good, and you're getting almost 3 times the space, 4 times the space.
well, the whole reason why we're doing that is twofold. It's one, we like sales. We have 14 people that work for us. We like to keep them employed. They like to provide for their families. So when you buy one of these, know it's American made. We build it just up here in Cache Valley on the Idaho side, and you're supporting real families. I mean, it's fantastic. We build everything. We have our own sewing machines, heat welders, all of it. So first and foremost, we're creating jobs. Second, and this is for me just the biggest one, the price point. What we're trying to do is help people that typically could not afford it, but feel the need that they have to have something, or that they just have this compelling need, put it into a price range that's affordable, and get it in that price range when they're getting their tax returns so that they can allocate those funds wisely this year into something that's going to keep them alive and keep them sane, keep them from having cabin fever through these disasters. I mean, no one wants to be huddled up in a pup tent with 6 kids.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. I don't have kids yet. We've done foster care, but I couldn't imagine having a whole family in a little pup tent. They're huge. I mean, you could set up cots. You can have everybody sleeping on the floor. I mean, you can hang your clothesline up in the middle of this thing to dry your clothes during the winter. Like,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's
Even
spacious.
even the biggest tent that you can buy at Walmart or wherever for pretty reasonable price, it's not gonna last you a year, and you're gonna get cabin fever in that thing. Even though it's huge, but not nearly compared to 24 by
Yeah, you'll have
14
cabin
foot
fever
dome.
within a day or two on a small tent. So now these things.
Well, and you can take that one and stick it inside the Vital Dome if you want to, or you can put 2 of them side by side. I mean, we got 400 square feet in there. I mean, they're unreal.
That's awesome. So tell us, with this project that you're doing now, with the Vital Domes, if they order tomorrow or today,
Yeah.
typically how long does it take for them to get their dome?
Right now, with the response that we've had, we typically try to get them within 3 weeks. But right now, what you're looking at is about 4 deliveries they ordered tomorrow.
Fantastic.
Today, tomorrow. So really fast.
That's awesome. So if you really want to check these out, if being online isn't enough to see it online, to see the videos, see the pictures, you guys are going to be at PrepperCon. We're actually going to have a dome city in the corner.
We are setting up at Nome City.
It's going to be awesome.
We'll have domes and a bunch of wall tents.
Yeah, the wall tents up. You'll have one of the domes. I understand is going to be a classroom, so some of the classes will be taken care of in there. So you can see just how big it is. I mean, we can have a 30-person class going on in there. It's awesome. We've got.
With that classroom, let me say this really quick.
Yeah, please.
These are more than just shelters. I mean, we have covers for them for greenhouses, so you can actually get it, stick the greenhouse cover on it, and use it year-round. Take it down or leave it up and put your other cover on for the emergency. I mean, they're dual purpose. But the one we're doing the presentation, we're going to fit between 30 to 50 people inside of it for a presentation. Plenty of room. But we're using a blackout. It's a white with a black in the middle with another white, so it's luminous. We're blacked out the light, putting a projector in there, and we're using it as a full AV dome, audio-visual dome.
Well, we are running out of time. I want to thank you for being on air with us today. Anyone wants to check it out, go to vitaldomes.com and check them out at PrepperCon. Thanks, Alma.
Thanks, Scott. See you guys.
Well, you're listening to PrepperCon Radio on K-Talk. We'll be right back after these short messages. Hey, welcome back. You're listening to PrepperCon Radio. We're having some fun on the break. We were talking about Shane's got a new dream. He's going to build a biodome when we come out with a 90-foot Vital Dome.
When they come out with the 90-footer, I am going to get it all clear plastic or PVC, whatever materials, and build a biodome out of it. So you live within the biodome.
So he's going to be Matt Damon and Martian. We're going to move him to Mars.
But actually, another really cool idea is even take the 24 or 30-footer and frame inside of it. Build yourself a second floor in there and use the dome as the shell of your home and build a home within it.
That'd be kind of fun. Now, what I like is the idea of getting maybe 2 or 3 domes and then putting vestibules between them. So you've got room to another room to another room. Like, now you can do
That'd be awesome.
some pretty killer campouts. We want to thank Alma again for being on with us. That was a lot of fun. Check out his website. He's got a huge sale going on. Vital Domes, VITAL, domes.com.
And on Facebook, too.
And on Facebook, you can see all the sales and everything promoted on Facebook. I think he's even got a mailing list you can sign up for on his website to get all the updates on sales. They'll be at PrepperCon. Come see him. Come see us. We'll be there, of course. That's what we do. That's who we are. We're PrepperCon Radio.
We live for it.
We are really excited. I love shelters. I love talking shelter. I want to kind of shift gears. We talked about tents a little bit, tarps, lean-tos.
Trailers a little bit.
I want to talk about tiny homes. I want to talk about Connex container homes. You know, you see the Connex big steel corrugated boxes that are on the back of oh man, they're on the trains, they're on the
trucks. You see them everywhere.
trucks. You see them everywhere.
And right now, because global shipping and global trade has really slowed down, there's a lot of them available.
Oh yeah,
These shipping containers available for whatever you want to use. Great for storage, great for a shelter, great to build a home and live out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're so cool. One of my goals is to actually take 2 40-footers side by side, offset them about 10 feet, and make a home, a cabin retreat for me and my family.
Yeah.
I would love to live in them full time because you can frame in the interior, you can insulate them. They're all season proof on the outside, right? They're windproof, they're waterproof. Well, they're waterproof as long as they haven't been compromised. If they've been damaged,
and they're easy to repair.
Yeah, you can patch it. But I think you can paint them any color. I just think it's such a cool idea to reuse something, and you can get them for pretty cheap. I mean, there's places here in Utah you can buy them for about starting around $2,000.
You see retail, around $2,000 to $3,400, somewhere around there. But you can definitely get better prices. Do some haggling and look around. You'll find that there's a lot of them.
One of the fun ones is actually out of St. George. Custom Containers with a K. Custom with a K. They are actually helping us build our hurricane simulator for PrepperCon inside of a 20-foot Connex container, so one of these steel shipping containers.
Excited to see this thing.
And it's going to have a floor drain because, of course, the hurricane's got water. We're going to have 180 mile an hour wind speeds, well, up to 180 mile an hour wind speeds going through there. we've got to wait and see how fast we're allowed to.
You're going to have to sign a waiver of some sort.
You will be signing a waiver if you want to ride on this thing. But you'll wear protective eyewear and stuff, but you'll get to feel the full force of a hurricane. And it's a lot of fun. It's super cool.
And you will get wet.
So they're going to be helping with that. But they've done, I mean, if you know who Jason Hansen is, who did Shark Tank, and he's got a spy escape and evade school down in Cedar City, they built him a tiny home out of one of these.
Oh, cool.
And they do customized, you know, if you don't have the skills or don't want to try to get the skills to build your own, they can build it, ship it, and drop it wherever you want it. Shane here has all the skills. He can do it himself, which is how he and I actually met originally.
Yep.
This guy can build anything. He's got the skills to put together a container home. And I love that. I love the ability to do that. I could probably get about halfway through it myself, and then I'd have to call Shane and say, hey, Kate, come over. I'll pay you. Let's finish this thing
Well,
up.
the thing with tiny homes, whatever you want to call them, mini homes, container homes, is that we need to change really how we live. We live in excess, to excess. We live in debt. And that's really my, I guess, motivation, is to build container homes that are affordable, that you can purchase without being in debt.
Yeah.
Without being in that slavery. And I know a lot of you understand exactly what that means. So we need to live within our means, and if that means living in a container, you know, so be it for now. And same with the tiny homes, that's all the rage, and really the trend is living in with absolute minimal needs.
Now, a true minimalist has, from what I've read, has up to 100 items that they'll own at any given time.
Okay.
And I'm like blown away at that, because I probably have more than that just in my drawers at home. But it's living simply. A lot of people believe that you're tied to your belongings and that you serve them. And I agree to that to a point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are there to serve us if we're buying the right stuff, if we're using the right stuff. But it's this neat movement that's more self-reliant, that's simplistic. When you have a smaller home, you have a smaller mortgage, you have less expenses. That gives you the freedom to do more with your time.
Right.
And I think we're getting away with that, or away from that, all too often. So these types of homes are not just, emergency homes, but they're year-round homes you can use. So the tiny home, I love it. Some of them are on wheels. Mm-hmm. Some of them are permanent. You can put them on foundation.
And technically, the technical tiny home is a trailer-built home. It's approximately 8 foot, maybe 10 foot wide, by 20 foot or so. And it's built to look like a house, like a typical house, built out of typical framing, but meant to be mobile. That way you can get away with parking it pretty much anywhere. You don't need a building permit. You don't have, depends on, I'm going to put a caveat there, depends on where you are and where you take the thing, but that's the flexibility of a tiny home. You can live virtually wherever you want.
And they're getting stricter with those building requirements, depending on where you're going. And so there are builders that are certified. Tiny home builders, which is...
Who build it to code, use electrical codes, the plumbing codes, and so forth, insulation, and that's the way you should build it to be safe, is do it right.
Absolutely.
But you can do these things yourself. You can build a container home yourself. You can build a tiny home yourself, even if you've never done it before.
Absolutely. And it's fun. Doing something yourself gives you enhanced skills, but a huge sense of pride having accomplished something.
Absolutely.
So we highly recommend, anytime you have an opportunity for a do-it-yourself project, in the world of preparedness or anything else, please go do it. If you're working on something and all of a sudden you feel like, hey, I need to go get some food storage, or hey, I need to go get better skilled at this, follow those feelings. They're the right feelings to be following.
And I really believe in the Dave Ramsey theory, not to his extreme, to where you sell everything and live off only what you make and have zero debt. But there are so many things you can do to stay out of debt, kind of like Dave Ramsey, where buy your piece of property, figure out how to pay for that piece of property, and then just start to build your dwelling as you're able to. Go to KSL and find yourself an old beat-up trailer.
Yep.
Start there for $500, and there you got a temporary little dwelling that you can live in while you're building your container home or your mini home or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. And you don't have to live this crazy outside of your means situation. Like a lot of people in Utah, I don't know what it is here, but we've got this keeping up with the Joneses mentality, more so than anywhere else I've lived. And you don't need to do that. Living simply frees you from so much, especially stress.
Absolutely. And on the opposite side, there is, of course, the argument, this is America. We do what we want. We can, get as much debt as you want. I mean, absolutely. If you want the biggest house on the block in the state and the city, that's exactly what America is about. You have the freedom to do whatever you want that way. So don't let my stance on, living in maybe a smaller dwelling be construed as un-American, or in wanting the biggest and the best, and because America is the best, America is, we're better than everybody else. Other than that not being the absolute truth anymore, it's really obviously a very personal decision to the way you live, and what you live and where you live, and how you live.
Yeah, live simply. Get your home. Get into it. Be smart about it. Don't go crazy on your first home, or don't go crazy on your next home. Be smart. That way, when something does happen, you're not at a total loss. Mm-hmm. You've got other options. You can afford to go get additional shelters so that your family's taken care of. Our whole purpose behind this radio show, our purpose behind the broadcast every week, and behind our expo in April 15th and 16th at the Southtown Expo Center in Sandy, the whole purpose behind this is to help create prepared families. You cannot get prepared if all of your money is going towards your debts, if all of your money is going towards things that don't help your situation. Take your tax return this year, pay off some of your debts, and get some of your food storage, get your water storage, get some shelter solutions. Come to PrepperCon and utilize those funds to get your family in a better situation. I promise you, if you do, you will have less stress in your life. You'll be more at peace by being prepared.
Absolutely.
I've been doing this since I was 13. 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, right after I married my wife, we just felt really strongly we need to get more food storage. And that nagging feeling sat with me for probably 4 months until finally I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do it. And I searched KSL, I found the best deals, I called all my friends that are in this industry, and I'm like, okay, where can I get this at the best price right now? I found all the sales. Take 20 minutes out of your day. Go find the deals to help your family get better prepared, because if you can save money while you're doing it, that's just additional peace of mind. Now we're coming up on the hour, we're running out of time. I want to thank you guys for listening. This has been a fun journey. We're going to continue on with this journey week after week after week.
As long as we're able.
As long as we're able and as long as we can, we are going to keep pushing, and we're going to keep helping people get prepared. Thank you for listening. I want to take a second, personally, and give a special shout out. 4 years ago today, the most incredible woman in the world.
It's your anniversary?
Said yes.
Oh my goodness.
To a question that I
Happy anniversary, Scott.
Thank you.
Totally didn't know.
Well, it's our engagement anniversary.
Oh, okay.
It's not it's important. It's life-changing and it's pivotal. But it's one of my favorite days. This is the holiday for me because it's the day my wife said yes. When I popped the question, I was sneaky. I had a ring. It was burning a hole in my pocket all day long. I took her to her favorite place, which is now one of my favorite places. I've always loved it, but we went to this little theme park run by a mouse. It's a great human trap. And I popped the question. She cried. She hit me. It was awesome. She said yes. And I am the happiest man because of it. And I just want to give her a special thank you. She is the reason I do everything I do. Preparedness is part of our responsibility for our families. She's my responsibility, and she makes my life better in every way. So thank you, Jessica.
Awesome.
Thank you, listeners, for putting up with my craziness. We love doing PrepperCon Radio. We're out of time. Join us next week. We're going to talk about protection, AR-15s, AK-47s, platforms, what you can do.
Build your own.
But it's going to be fun. So we'll be back. Stay tuned for the Liberty lineup.
Good song. This is Ronan Artem.
We all need a safe place to retreat to sometimes, whether you're planning to bug out for the apocalypse or want a quiet place to relax and get away to. UtahSafeHaven.com is your solution, founded by preppers for preppers. They have the best properties for sale